For the next 10 minutes, it's all about machine again. It's Sonic Toolbox time. I will give you a couple of tips and tricks how to produce and come up with a cool Kuduru style draft with Machine. Before I go into this, I'd like to point out that you can go on nativeinstruments.com/livestream and join the chat all the time. So if you have any questions for Nabiha, for myself, for the artists that are on the couch later on, please feel free to go to the website and join the chat and give us some questions there. So, how are we going to start off with? With a simple bass kick that's going on. Everything starts with the bass kick. And I actually have programmed a little bass pattern already, which we are going to listen to now. And maybe, yes, check the speakers. I will get a little bit of a monitor in here. And Kuduru is much faster than this. I'm at 118 BPM. This is not making anyone dance. So let's go a little bit faster to the 150 BPM range. Now we have a little solid pulse going on instead of having a metronome that I play on top now. So the first thing that I do is taking this little high tom that I've already loaded up on my machine, and you can see it has this orange color right here. And I will create the most fundamental, most basic West African beat ever. It's the soca rhythm, and you should be pretty familiar with it if you have been living on this planet in the last 30 years. So I will give you a quick introduction to the soca. It goes like... All right, everybody knows that. It's used in dance hall music, in a lot of club music all around the globe. What I like to do now is to make this high tom pitched, right? So now I have a couple of tones that I could use to make it more, to bring a little bit of variation in and not have it that monotonous. So I will just record a pattern with that high tom. And I will quantize it just a tiny little bit to make it flow with the rhythm. So this is our soca fundament that I have, and I will add a little quantize it a little bit. And we have a kind of foundation going on. So what can we add? Maybe a little snare fill. All right, cool, a hi-hat. Let's take the step sequencer. And oh, okay, I saw a couple of you nodding with their heads, so this tells me that I'm going in the right direction. One thing that I've just realized after I was creating the pattern, this high tom, it's missing a little bit of low end bottom. And this is where I come up with my first tip for today. I will use an equalizer. But instead of boosting a wide range of frequencies, I will take that equalizer and narrow down my little bell until only a couple of frequencies are boosted to the max. This will create a resonance. So the equalizer will create a little resonance, and after that I will look if there is some frequency that matches exactly the scale of my song. So let's do this. This is my hi-hat. Let's go into Machine's equalizer. There's a built-in equalizer in any sampler unit. So I will now push the frequency very, very hard. And then now the equalizer is getting narrow and more narrow and more narrow, and you hear this frequency piling up. Cool. Okay, let's take the tune. Okay, works for me. Just a little A-B comparison without EQ, with EQ, much better. Okay, next step, we have a rhythmical foundation, so let's add a couple of melodic elements. And as we've learned in this intro lecture, there aren't that much melodic elements in Western African music. It's pretty percussion-based. So what I am going to do now is take 3 kind of melodic samples, like this here, and then I have another one, and a little slice here, and just take this as a possible melody for my song. All right, so we have this melody foundation going on, and it's almost like there's a little gap in between, and I will fill this gap with another sound that I have here. It's a very aggressive sound, but it will work in context. So let's listen to this. And then it starts all over again. So let's just record this. And question, answer. Question, answer. Question, answer. Question. Cool. So we have now this question-answer kind of thing. There's the melody, then there comes this sound that kind of gives the answer. One problem about this is that it's a little bit too aggressive for my taste. There is something called sidechaining. And sidechaining was developed years ago for radio broadcasting. And it actually was doing the following thing. If you have some music going on in the radio and you have a host talking on top, sidechaining will take care of the ducking, of the volume ducking. So every time I speak, the music will be ducked and vice versa. So I will take exactly this technique and apply it to this sound by loading up a compressor after the sampler. And in this compressor, I will even more take care of putting the sidechain input to the kick drum. So now every time the kick drum is coming in, it will just make this pump. Just check it out. So now you have this breathing. Cool. So I didn't have to lower the volume because the sidechaining did the trick. This is tip number 2. Sidechain anything that you want to get out of the way, right? Just sidechain it and make it breathe and pump. That works very, very nicely. Back to our example. It's very, very percussive right now, and I want to get some movement, little movement in. And the way I'm going to do this is applying some delay on this chord sound. How am I going to do this? I go into an empty group in Machine, select an empty sound, go to my browser, and I will use a replica VST delay here. And I just load it up. And now I can have this delay as a send origin for my chord. So let's check it out. Output, aux, and I will select the delay, and I will now get the delay in. Oh. That's a very nice delay. Let's listen to it. Oh, and we realize it's so muddy. There's this delay tail going on all the time. We don't want to have that. So just remember the second tip. If I want to get something out of the way, go for sidechaining. This time I go for a little bit of more complicated and complex sidechaining. Instead of sidechaining a sound with another one, I'm going to take the delay tail, Then put a compressor on it and make it sidechained by a razor bass. So let's see how this works. We go into the delay, load up a compressor, done. Now I select razor as the possible trigger. Here's the razor bass going on. And now, every time I will play the razor bass, you will hear the delay vanishing a little bit. Check this out. And this way, I can make the delay work. So let's record this pattern. Works, right? So we have this massive delay, but it's not in the way or anything, because every time the razor bass kicks in, it will push the delay down and vice versa. So that's it with my basic foundation. The last thing I'm going to do is I take a West Africa plugin. Let's see if I can. And add some real percussion on top. So what West Africa and this plugin does, it gives me a whole rhythm section by the push of a button. So I only need to hold one of the pads down. There's a percussion group going on. I can go to another pattern. Works. Let's put them on top. All right, that's it for our Kuduru style machine track for today.